Hello and welcome to All Villa No Filler, a podcast all about Aston Villa, the world's greatest football team. Unai Emery's side ended a brilliant 2023 with a 3-2 win over Burnley at Villa Park to go level on points with table toppers Liverpool. More on that in a sec. Plus, Frankie cooks up another of his mouth-watering, spicy questions. But first things first, Frankie, how has your Christmas been?
Oh, it's been very good, George. It's like the Glastonbury of life for me. Everyone I know from every corner of every bit of my life ever is all back in Solihull in Birmingham, and it's just been very quite intense. I feel like I never ever want to drink alcohol ever again in my life. Which
I give you about a week before you change your mind.
Yeah, once Villa lose to Middlesbrough, I'll be
The
straight onto
hard
the
liquor.
hardest liquor I can find, moaning in a corner of a pub somewhere. But yeah, I definitely feel like I never want to drink alcohol again. But other than that, it's been yeah, just brilliant. Not being able to catch up with everyone I want to catch up with, but generally, yeah, just having a great old time of it.
Well, Frankie, we caught up, didn't we?
We did.
It's nice to see you in the flesh.
I know.
So much of our communication these days is done over Zoom or whatever, and just to see you in person, Frankie, it was a real Christmas treat.
I thought
The
I was
best
me.
present of Christmas, I reckon.
It was like meeting a celebrity for me. I was tempted to get your autograph. I was like, oh my God, it's actually George. He's here.
Do you want to talk about the context of the meeting? We met in a pub with former podcaster Roisin
We did.
Mendonça, who was obviously a big Villa fan herself, and her
Yeah.
Birmingham City supporting boyfriend, which was quite fun. It was quite fun to watch the game against Man United for the first 45 minutes with
Yeah.
him. That
Yeah.
was fun. I enjoyed that. Second half, less so.
It
Um,
just there was quite a mysterious number of Birmingham City fans who were really cheering very loudly for Manchester United when that third goal went in.
That's
Uh,
that's right. That's right. And Rashid's boyfriend, he dipped out to get himself a get himself some chips, didn't he? When we were sort of riding high after Dendonker's second, I think he said, "I'm just gonna go outside for a little bit, if that's all right."
yeah.
It was like that guy on that expedition to the North Pole that said, "I'm going out for a bit. I may be some time." And and he was some time, but
Yeah.
then it just so happened to come back in just as United were getting their momentum in the second half, and then seemed to really enjoy that second half United performance.
Yeah, in a way that none of us did.
Yeah,
It was because the pub was very fun. Like the Villa, it was like great to hear Villa fans just being that happy. And then it
yeah.
was like, oh, back to classic Villa. But yesterday was
Mm.
not classic Villa, was it, George?
It wasn't. It wasn't
Sort
fun.
of.
I'll be. Yeah. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a game I enjoyed, but we got the win. We got the 3 points. It sort of puts to an end our mini blip that some people have called it. What with the draw at Sheffield United and then obviously the defeat at Old Trafford. Yeah, we sort of won quite ugly. Wasn't the greatest game to watch. But yeah, I don't know, Frankie. How did you find the game when
Hmm.
it was sort of manifested itself over the course of 90 minutes?
Do you know, I think the way I'd assess it is that I think the players looked a little bit tired. I think that's totally understandable given all the injuries we have. We didn't have Yuri Tielemans, we didn't have Matty Cash,
Look at Dean.
Luca Dean, Mings and Buendia are obviously not there. Um, and a few others. And I think it just looked a little bit like a team who's played a lot of football, exerted a lot of energy and emotion in this month, in which we've had incredible results against, City, Arsenal, Brentford away, Bournemouth even away, drawing that. And so, having exerted a lot of energy at Old Trafford as well, I think in both the United game and the Burnley game, I think they're just like a team that probably needs a, this full squad back and to just have a more healthy run of games rather than it all just being condensed into a mad month. But I think the fact that we were able to still fight through all that against a well-organized team, the teams that have been in the relegation zone seem to now be getting their act together a little bit and pushing, making it harder for other teams and have sort of worked out a way of trying to stay up. So, Burnley got a good win away at Fulham. Uh, and at Aston Villa, I think they caused us a lot of problems. I think they were clever with how they attacked the high line, which I think is going to be a running theme in the second half of the season as teams adapt to it, work out ways to play against it. And I think that's something we're going to have to adapt to and get used to. Uh, and I think Lyle Foster was excellent. Like really, really impressed with how he played. I think he gave Clement Longley, a bit of a nightmare, really. So yeah, but at the same time, I think Villa, while we didn't really like break them down too well with our passing, it was two long balls over the top with Ollie Watkins' movement and running that really made the difference in the first half. And it shows you the quality of attacker we have that they can do that. Two assists from Ollie were absolutely brilliant. Two great runs, two good balls from Carlos and Conser. Um, the two goals we conceded looked like they were coming. I mean, the first goal we conceded was straight after our first goal that we scored, and that's a classic goal you concede straight after scoring when you're not concentrating. It was poor defending. Shouldn't have conceded that. But yeah, the warnings was there for when Burnley scored their second. We'd already seen Foster get through and score an offside goal. But then, I think I kind of wondered when it went to 2-2, like I thought, are we just, oh no, is this the moment now, of the 98-99 season, the O'Neill era, is this when it starts to just level out a bit? And instead, no, like we carried on. Duran came on as a complete madman and won us the penalty. And but I think the biggest credit I would say goes to Leon Bailey. I thought his run for that to set up that penalty was absolutely sensational. Leon Bailey has been just incredible this season. Like genuinely one of the best players in the Premier League right now. Like every game he plays, he just looks excellent. And he's always making great runs. He's hard to tackle. They double up on him. It doesn't make a difference. You know, so it's full credit to him. Full credit to Yonderan for being a complete madman. I have no idea what he is. He's like food where you're throwing every ingredient in. He's like different genres of music. One minute he's 80s hip hop East Coast, and then and a minute later he's the Beatles in the 60s rock and roll. It makes no sense what he is about. But his defensive clearances, his weird fouls, his, winning the penalty. I mean, you can't not kind of love that a little bit. And then Douglas Luiz taking a million years to take that penalty, but thank God it went in. Thank God it went in. A tough, hard-fought win from a team that I think look a bit tired and are missing key players like Boubacar Kamara as well, who I didn't even mention. Getting those players back will be pretty key, and I think we'll look a bit better than we have it just in the last 2 or 3 games in the coming months.
Yeah, well, it's good we've got a bit of a break now, at least in terms of Premier League games. We've got obviously the FA Cup game against Middlesbrough next before we play Everton, I think, back in the Premier League. So that is nice to have a bit of a break, and obviously I'm sure Emery will rotate this squad a bit for the Middlesbrough game, so he'll give players a bit of a break, which is needed. Yeah, I mean Leon Bailey, as you say, absolutely brilliant again. I mean, he has basically become the Leon Bailey we all hoped that we signed when Dean Smith brought him to the club. You know, we'd all see those YouTube assist and goals videos for Leverkusen with the kind of drum and bass music behind it that everyone's probably seen a million times, thinking, wow, God, what a player. He's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And his career at Villa Park has sort of it's just been very stop-start. And a lot of it hasn't really been his fault. It's been one of those things where he had injury problems, and then under Gerrard, God, he who must not be named, he didn't really play wingers for some bizarre reason, just sold all our wingers. So Bailey didn't really fit into his philosophy. But under Unai, and certainly I kind of think since the arrival of Diaby, who's threatened to sort of take his position,
that's been a big part.
It's sort of put a fire under him, and he's been playing incredibly well this season, and long may that continue. On Diaby, obviously he got his goal, which is brilliant. He's sort of had a bit of a stop-start season himself, really. I would say. I think he started the season really strongly, obviously with his goal against Newcastle, a few goals as well after that, and then it sort of slipped a little bit. Possibly because of the emergence of Bailey. So he's been in and out of the side a little bit. So hopefully his goal yesterday will give him a bit of confidence. But my God, that I think he put his shoes on the wrong feet yesterday. He was he got into some brilliant positions, which is 80% of his job, to get into those positions to have a decent shot on goal. But for whatever reason, they just kept flying over the bar and so that was frustrating.
I think you would say that if you're going to play the high line, it is we play it extremely well, but you have to take your chances that you
Yeah.
create because eventually there will just be a long ball over the top that probably does get through. And
Yes.
like it's been quite rare that Villa didn't take their chances this season. So yesterday, I'm hoping was just an aberration. I mean, we should have been about 5-1 up
Mm.
by the
Yeah.
70th minute, but
Yeah.
we just weren't. And I like you
Exactly.
say, it was Diaby, yeah.
Exactly. And it was always going to happen. I thought because we missed so many good chances, I was like, this it's going to be inevitable that Burnley will just, yeah, as you say,
Yeah.
long ball forward. Lyle Foster with his pace, getting ahead of our players and scoring in a second. And I like you, Frankie. I thought even with them down to 10 men, I thought we're just Sheffield United all over again. We're just going to drop points
Mm.
and our mini blip continues. But luckily Luis popped up with the penalty win. I thought my screen had frozen. Genuinely, if it
Yeah.
wasn't if it wasn't for the supporters that were sort of swaying in the background, I was like, come on, Dougie, wake up.
Yeah.
But he picked his spot. Obviously, he was going for the underside of the bar.
Yeah.
Of course, he was. But yeah, it was sort of heart in mouth time when it sort of ricocheted about 1,000 times off the bar and off the ground. But that goes in and we get the 3 points. And yeah, as I mentioned at the start of this podcast, Frankie, level on points with Liverpool, who are obviously top.
Mm.
Yes, Man City have a game in hand on us, but we are in a unbelievably good position. And
Yeah.
it's weird, isn't it? We've all been on a bit of a downer over Christmas, haven't we? Because of the Sheffield United game and the Man United game, um, and and it just shows how much standards have risen in the
Yeah.
last year or so that we're all looking at those games and thinking, oh bloody hell, without really looking at maybe the table and thinking, crikey, like we're second in the league and
I know
it's
it's
and
mad,
it's
isn't it?
and it's January.
Yeah.
I think we're 6 points better off than Spurs in fifth or sixth.
Yeah.
So I know they do also have a game in hand, but again, that's incredible. And also the teams around us are struggling. Okay, Man City won, but United lost against Forest,
Mm.
Spurs lost against Brighton, Arsenal lost against West Ham. Any team can beat anybody, and as long as you kind of keep treading water above all that,
Mm.
even and when you lose games to come back and then win, then you're just going to keep your head above water, and hopefully we'll do enough to get Champions League
Yeah.
or win it. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, the one positive thing I'd say from yesterday as well, though, was when Pau Torres came on, I think you noticed how crucial he actually is for
Oh
our
yeah.
attacking play because all those chances came after he came onto the pitch because his passing from deep is obviously excellent, but also he's willing to push forward
Mm.
and his connection with Alex Moreno. I thought Moreno was a bit anonymous when Longley was on the pitch, and then when Torres came on, suddenly I felt like Moreno was more involved, and because Moreno was more involved, Ramsey was more involved.
Mm.
And I feel sorry for Ramsey and Moreno because the two of them are playing a lot more. I mean, thrown in the deep end, having come back from long-term injuries, than I think you ideally would want. You'd want them, coming in and out the team a bit more than just straight in all the time.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So the two of them, we've got to be patient with them. But there was some really positive signs seeing Torres, Moreno, and Ramsey together, where I think once they're all fully fit and firing,
Mm.
that could be a really fruitful side for Aston Villa as this season progresses. And that's going to be, while teams will adapt to our high line and play better against us more likely, that's a new element to Villa that I think in the second half of this season, opposition teams are going to have to somehow get used to.
Yeah, I agree. I fully expect, Ramsey and Moreno to start against Middlesbrough just to get more minutes in their legs. And yeah, once they're back to the levels that, we saw last season, then that will be incredible. It'll be like having two new signings back. Torres being back, as you mentioned, is absolutely massive. And Kamara is back from suspension. So it's all looking good, really, at least for the start of January. So yeah, onwards and upwards.
George and I could be heading for a Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels style breakup here. Good WWE reference there if you know it. In this, the spicy question. Today, George, I'm asking you for your highlights of 2023. So I've got a little list of spicy questions,
Oh,
plural
okay.
rather than singular. So number one, in this calendar year, what has been your favorite game?
Do these questions get incrementally more spicy?
Yeah. By the end of it, you passed out by the fifth question.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a
Running,
pool of your
running,
own sweat.
running for that milk. What was the question? Sorry, Frankie.
Yeah. Your favorite game of this calendar year, 2023.
Favorite game of this year. Um, oh, there's been a few.
Mm.
The Brighton game was unbelievable, wasn't it? When we
Yeah.
when we played them, West Ham at home again. A team that we've always struggled against, but we sort of swept them aside as well, which was always nice. But I think you can't look beyond the Man City game.
Yeah.
I know it was only a couple of weeks ago, but the way we played against them was just unbelievable. We said it at the time that I've yet to see a team genuinely. I mean, I haven't seen a team play Man City off the park the way that we did at Villa
Yeah.
Park, and in a weird way, I think I think the effort we put into that game has subsequently had a bit of a knock-on effect to how we perform subsequently. I think
Yeah.
I think I think they just was so knackered after that it's probably affected our performances since. But just an unbelievable performance. 1-0 genuinely flattered us. We should have won that game 2 or 3-0. I think Man
Yeah.
City were all over the place, and Guardiola said it himself after the game. He said the better side clearly won, and he was absolutely right. So for us to win that game against our title rivals, Frankie,
Yeah.
was amazing. So I can't really look beyond that game, to be honest.
I'd agree. I think the 3-0 against Newcastle was an incredible performance against a team who were very, very much had lots of momentum behind them at that point. I
Yeah.
think that was a real moment of wow, okay,
Mm.
this is the real deal, Villa under Unai Emery. But I think that City game, I agree with you. I think it's the best performance I think I've ever seen for a Villa team against a team of that quality. It was
Yeah.
absolutely unbelievable.
No.
All right, best moment.
Best moment. Ooh. I think qualifying for the Conference League.
Yeah,
I think that game against Brighton, where McGinn was holding the ball up at the touchline right at the
yeah,
very end, and the whistle blows, and just the whole vibe around that game. The fact the fans had queued up, and the coach was driving through, and it was just everybody was just in such a good mood. I haven't really seen that at Villa Park for
no, no,
such a long time.
yeah,
I genuinely can't remember the last time I've seen so much kind of euphoria and joy at Villa Park. Normally it's the exact opposite. But
yeah.
under Emery, it's completely turned on its head. So yeah, I think that moment when that final whistle went, John McGinn holding the ball up on the touchline and giving
A
it
little
that to the
fest.
to the whole end was amazing. So I think
It
I think that moment.
It was like the nice final touch to a story where we'd started as the Renford Rejects under Steven Gerrard and ended up as Dream Team, Harchester United winning the
Yeah,
league.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right, for this calendar year, who has been the best player?
I think. Oh man, there's so many to mention. I think you've got to give like honourable mentions to John McGinn. I think the way his form has turned around under Emery has been
Yeah,
unbelievable, and he's also
fantastic
been
player.
asked to fill in a lot of positions. When
Yeah,
Emery took over, he was sort of playing as a right winger, and then he sort of played in a more advanced role in recent games without Kamara. He's been asked to drop deep, and so his ability to sort of cover so many positions has just been amazing. And he's really filled into that captain's role, hasn't he?
mm.
He's leading the team as a captain should. So he's been great. Ollie Watkins, his goals have been vital, massive for us. The way, again, since Emery's taken over, the fact he's managed to lift his game to that level where he's now seen as the second starter for England after Harry Kane is amazing. And his hold up play is superb. We saw again yesterday how he can sort of carve chances for his teammates. And I think he's leading the ranks this season in terms of assists in the
He
Premier League.
is.
I
Yep.
think he's on 8 assists, something like that. So and he's scoring loads of goals. He's scoring a lot of goals as well. So he's been great. I just think the way Leon Bailey has turned his form around,
Mm.
particularly since the start of this season, has been amazing. And I always feel for him. The way he missed that chance against Wolves, and he was really tearful after that moment. Do you know what I mean? Like he was really
Yeah.
upset. Like he was clearly in a bit of a bad place when it came to kind of his career at Villa. And there were questions over his future and whether he would be moved on, but he's turned it around in an unbelievable way, and he scores some cracking goals. We talked about the Man City game where he got his goal yesterday,
Mm.
obviously, but so many times he's just been brilliant. And I just love how direct he is. He is turning into the player that gets fans on their feet. So for me, I think Leon Bailey has been brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, God, there's so many. Emmy Martinez,
Yeah,
outstanding.
Ezri
Alex Moreno,
Konsa.
brilliant signing. But I think for me, probably Douglas Luiz.
Yeah,
I think he's been absolutely sensational. He's a brilliant, brilliant player. I think he should start for Brazil. That's how good he is, and I think he could play for any team in the world. Probably, I think he really is that good now. I think, and just always so cool, calm, collected, but has a very unique kind of first touch where
Mm.
he kind of can drag the ball and it just creates an extra second for him. Very, very unique player. I think he's brilliant.
Well,
Um,
he seems to be that player that's constantly linked with a move away,
yeah, yeah.
which is a sign of just how good he is. Obviously, that there seems to be big clubs sniffing around him, potentially willing to spend, you know,
Splurge.
splurge, yeah, 100 million quid on him.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, yeah, he has been brilliant and probably the most consistent, I would
Yeah.
say, of everybody.
Yeah, he's it's quite funny seeing Arsenal constantly linked when they're like 4 points behind us now and we've just beaten them. Like, that is quite funny.
Yeah.
Arsenal fan TV clearly not happy about that. Low point,
Um,
haven't been
I mean,
many.
there haven't been many.
Really haven't.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, just obviously looking at the defeats, obviously the start of the season, as we did against Newcastle, wasn't great. But as
Yeah.
we've mentioned many times before, there were quite a few mitigating circumstances behind all that. So I don't really think about that. I lost to Liverpool again. Lots of teams are going to lose at Anfield. I would say, I know it happened only last week, but the 3-2 defeat against United was a bit of a low point, only because it's against United at Old Trafford, and I know they're not the team that they used to be, but they are still a scalp that every club wants to take, particularly when you play at Old Trafford. Going 2-0 up and then sort of collapsing really in the second half
Mm.
the way we did is very kind of un-Emery like. It was like watching a team under he who must not be named. So yeah, that for me probably sticks in my mind still as a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I think results wise, that was definitely the low point. Just in the, I think it was just a team that ran out of energy. I genuinely do after a tough December. But also I think moment for me would probably be Mings' injury. I think
Yeah,
that was a disaster really, and clearly affected the team on the day. And such a brilliant representative of Villa. Everyone loves him. Can't wait to see him come back and see his recovery really. But yeah, that was really hard to watch that injury. So that's probably my
definitely.
low point.
Yeah.
Uh, but last question. What would you like to see next calendar year? What do you want Villa to do? Where can we go?
I want to see John McGinn lift that Premier League title in May. Just lift it above his big old Scottish head.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, that's a pipe dream. But like, I don't know. We've talked about it before. You've got to aim as high as you can. We're still in it. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a very slim chance, and you know Liverpool are looking strong, and Man City obviously looking really strong. So it's not very very unlikely. But obviously that is something that would be unbelievable. That's what I would,
Yeah.
dream scenario.
Yeah.
But I think much more realistic, but still equally incredible would be just Champions League qualification. To be in a
Yeah.
position where we, in May, finish in the top four, top five, if that's enough, and next year have games at that competition to look forward to. All eyes on Europe, in Europe on us. The Champions League music at Villa Park is something that we've never experienced in our
No, we
lifetime,
haven't.
Frankie. We're ancient,
Yeah. We're
and
wizened old men. Well, not so wizened, but we're old men.
we're all men.
Yeah.
We're old men, and we've never seen it. And obviously, under the O'Neill days, which we remember so well, we came so close. And to be honest, Frankie, I thought when Man City had the takeover and they just sort of took everything under their in their stride, I thought that was it for us. I
Yeah.
genuinely did, especially subsequent relegation years and scrapping in the championship. I thought the Champions League was a million miles away. I just thought we'd never ever get there.
Yeah.
But that's football for you. Just it can turn in an instant. And all we needed was investment from people that genuinely care about the club and their sense to bring in someone like Unai Emery. Okay, via Steven Gerrard, sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's been the transformative factor. And now we're in a position where we can legitimately say we are Champions League contenders, as in we can qualify for the competition, which would just be just unbelievable,
Mm.
absolutely incredible. So that would be my hope for this calendar year.
Yeah. I think winning the title, it'll be I'm a believer, mate. I believe in these players. I believe in this manager. I have a feeling. I keep hearing City fans saying like, "Nah, this season we're not going to go on a big 15-game winning run." And it's like you are going to go on a 15-game winning
Yeah,
run. You
De
always
Bruyne's
do.
De Bruyne's. I think he was on the bench yesterday.
Yeah,
He'll be back fit after the winter break.
yeah,
So you know, uh, they're just an absolute machine. They're a
Yeah,
powerhouse. So that they're the
they
team,
will.
obviously. Yeah, of
They will,
course. Yeah,
and they'll probably win the Champions League as well. It's just they'll just do what they always do, I think. But
yeah,
you never know, you never know. And but yeah, as you say, Champions League or just winning a trophy. Both of them. I mean, if you could get both of those achievements in the next calendar year, I mean, we're talking dreamland stuff there, because that's the kind of stuff that very recently in Villa's very recent past thought would never ever be possible.
yeah.
And here we are.
Frankie, can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah.
Do you think if Villa win the league this season,
Hmm.
it's potentially more impressive than Leicester
Okay.
because of where we were last season, and also the quality of Liverpool and Man City this season? So obviously, when Leicester won it, the teams
Yeah.
around them just had really bad years. They had
Yeah.
off years. Man City were all over the place. Chelsea, all the rest. Obviously, they are much, much more competitive now.
Yeah.
Arsenal too. So, do you think if we did win the league, it would be more impressive than Leicester?
I mean, what Leicester did was absolutely amazing, historic. Yeah, I think it would be. I mean, the squad we've got is better than what Leicester had.
Yeah,
So there's that, and we spent more money than they probably did
yeah,
with that title-winning team. So it's more impressive by Leicester in that sense, having just come up from the Championship as well. But I think like I say, yeah, that the league that season was quite weird. It wasn't strong. Everyone seemed to have an off season. Whereas this season, it's like City, Liverpool, Arsenal. They're still really, really strong, even if then they're kind of looking a bit jittery and getting some odd results. And it's a bit this season is a bit well, like West Ham winning at Arsenal the other day and
mm,
things like that. But I think that whilst that all suggests that these top teams aren't maybe as strong as they have been, at the same time, it's also probably suggestive of how strong the Premier League is now. Like it is a Super League. The amount of money that's in there, and the teams like West Ham have absolutely quality players like Mohamed
yeah,
Kudus.
yeah.
Um, you
I
know,
mean, West Ham are a team that they'd finish, in the Premier League, they finished seventh, eighth, or whatever. But if you pick them up and stuck them in Serie A, they'd probably win the league there. Do you know what I mean?
they'd be competitive for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
like Kudus, Bowen, um, just a few other
Paquetá.
players. Paquetá. They've got and that's a mid-table Premier League team like that.
Yeah,
That's really strong. So I think the Premier League itself is strong. Um, and like Sheffield United and Burnley have shown, there's not really. It's quite rare you get an easy game.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I think with the quality of the league as the way it is, I think it would be more impressive to win the league this season than Leicester did in 2016. But I think there's probably a lot of Leicester fans who'd see this and be like,
what
"Who are
are you
these?
talking
Who are
about?
these
Yeah,
idiots? They need to shut up." There's probably a lot of Villa fans watch this going, "Who are these idiots? They need to
yeah.
shut up." But
No, I do think the Leicester win it would be more impressive, but Villa would definitely run it close. I
yeah.
do think we do have a stronger squad than Leicester did. Um,
I think if we did it like if you know how like Leicester, Liverpool and City go on these 11-game winning streaks to end
mm,
seasons, if we did something like that to
if we
keep
kept
keep up with
pace,
them,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
just
yeah,
went to West Ham and won 3-0 and just got all these amazing that would be definitely be more impressive because I think you'd be like that Villa have absolutely pushed it to the max there. Um,
yes, yeah, 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 yeah. I would get relegated next season because they're
yeah,
all just completely screwed from
look, I just know
Plymouth.
how this works. Yeah, next season relegation. Unai Emery sacked in November.
Yeah,
Gerrard comes back in a wave of glory to keep us up.
fluent in Arabic.
Yes, after having what looks like a pretty poor time of it in Saudi Arabia so far, his,
Yeah,
his
a
record's not
shock.
gone that well.
What a
Um,
surprise.
yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to an end of next calendar year. We sat here, moment of the year, Steven Gerrard's return to the club. Um, yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we'll save that for pre-season predictions
Yeah,
next year.